The man arrived in the sleepy New England town just as the late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the tidy rows of colonial houses. He'd been lured there by promises of quiet and solitude, a chance to escape the noise of the city. The air was crisp, laced with the scent of salt water, though he had no intention of going near the sea. He didn't care for boats or the ocean. He preferred his feet firmly planted on solid ground. As he strolled down the quaint cobblestone streets, admiring the well-kept gardens and perfectly trimmed hedges, the locals eyed him cautiously. An elderly woman sweeping her porch paused to watch him pass. She raised a trembling hand and called out, her voice raspy with age. "Best beware of the lobsters, sonny." He stopped and chuckled, flashing a polite smile. "I won't be going near the water," he said, waving her off. "Thanks for the tip, though." She didn't smile back. Her eyes remained fixed on him, her expression grave. He shrugged it off and continued walking, but it wasn't long before a middle-aged man trimming his hedges said the same thing. "Stay clear of the lobsters." He laughed again, a bit more uncomfortably this time. "I think I'll be safe on land," he replied. But as he moved deeper into the neighborhood, the warnings grew more frequent. A shopkeeper muttered it under his breath as he locked his door. A child, tugging at her mother's sleeve, pointed at him and whispered the same strange warning. The man began to feel a creeping unease. What was this? Some town joke? A local legend to scare tourists? He glanced at the tidy gardens once more, and that's when he noticed it. The bushes were shifting. The boxwoods lining the path trembled, their movements subtle but wrong. Too synchronized, too deliberate. Frowning, he took a step closer to one of the bushes, squinting as the late sunlight caught something shiny amidst the foliage, a flicker of dark red. A claw? No, it couldn't be. The bush moved again, this time unmistakably lurching toward him. He stumbled back, heart racing. The shrub wasn't a bush at all. It was a clump of lobsters crawling over one another in a grotesque, writhing mass. Their claws snapped in eerie rhythm, their black eyes fixed on him. More of them emerged from the shadows, their shells scraping against the pavement. Suddenly, he became acutely aware of the unnatural silence in the town. No cars, no birds, no footsteps but his own, quickening as panic took hold. His mouth went dry, his pulse hammering in his ears. He turned to flee, but the cobblestone path was already filling with the creatures. Dozens, no, hundreds of lobsters scuttled out from under the hedges, pouring into the streets, their claws clicking menacingly. He broke into a run, the sound of his footfalls drowned out by the incessant clattering of shells and claws. The houses, once inviting, now seemed cold and distant. He pounded on a door, screaming for help, but no one answered. No faces appeared in the windows, no hands reached out to save him. The lobsters advanced, a living tide, surrounding him from all sides. He spun in circles, his breath coming in short, panicked gasps. There was no escape. The path was blocked, the sea of snapping claws closed in. With one last desperate scream, he realized too late why the townspeople had warned him. This was their curse, their secret. A horror they'd come to accept, one they never spoke of except in veiled warnings. The lobsters, relentless and silent, closed in. The man's scream echoed down the empty streets, fading into the stillness of the afternoon. No one came.